Hello. Happy New Year. Good morning. Happy Sunday. Happy 2021. we're it's been a trip, right? But here we are. We actually had a long trip yesterday. We left in the morning from my parents' house in Missouri and drove here and arrived around 10:30 last night. And it was really good for me. I felt like there was a part of me that didn't know how to let go of last year, and a part of me that really wanted to let go of last year, and a part of me that was surprised at how eagerly I wanted to get rid of last year. And but there's also part of me that just didn't want to leave my parents' house. But when you're driving for 15 hours, then you can kind of process things, and just the physical act of driving across the country and traveling through different seasons and different, the sunrise and the daylight and the sunset and the night sky, just I felt like was helping to transport me into this year. So we are doing a joint service today. We're going to share together, first recapping last year. We went through all of the photos that we had taken for our church community last year, and despite many setbacks and many events that didn't happen, actually there was still a lot that happened. So we're excited to share those photos with you. And I found some really, I think, relevant quotes and a little message that I want to share with you. And then we're going to share some of our new plans for the upcoming year and things that we're excited about. Yeah.
We're just going to go ahead and start off by just showing some pictures from last year. We had to be very selective because there were so many pictures, and so actually quite a few things that happened, and we only have so much time. So we're not going to spend a whole lot of time going through all the pictures because you were there. But it's nice to be reminded because this was a really long year, and a lot of things may seem like they weren't even this year. So this was the 2020 Holy Day celebration, and we had we had GPA staying with us at that time, and Claire organized a bunch of youth games in the dining room, and the kids just had a blast with it. It was super awesome. There was also Jonathan won first place in the talent show, and we also had a lot of other great talent displayed as well as a bunch of other activities that, anyway.
Our last big celebration.
Yeah, it was one of our last big celebrations before COVID hit, yeah. We also continued through this whole period of time, my dad, Alice, ourselves, we've been working together to continue to do the spiritual growth class for our new members, and many of them even are joining virtually because William moved to Las Vegas, and Darshelle moved to San Diego, and Melissa moved to Montana, and so people are home. So we're really grateful for all of their effort, both of the people giving presentations like my dad here, and also everyone participating. Because we felt that this was something that was really important to continue going, and it was only really possible by being flexible. So thank you so much. There's a few renovation pictures posted here throughout the slideshow, but this was one of the big renovations that happened this year that was part of the plan, where we took out the old wooden doors and stained plastic that was there, and put in these nice new doors that we felt are a lot more, welcoming, easy to manage, and just really provided a really nice facelift for the church. We also had a number of couples who went to the blessing earlier this year, back in February, and Jonathan and Ruta, one of those couples. They're lovely. Also, Peggy and Ujiri's son, Sam. Vanessa, right? Yeah. Vanessa, yeah. Lovely couple. And also Mitchell and Linda Martin there. This was Ella's sister and David's sister-in-law, and we had a really nice ceremony for them. All the family came together, and they actually moved here a couple months after that. We just haven't seen them yet, but they're here. One of the families that moved here this year. Also Justine and Casimir. And Reverend Wantete and Brigitte. They had to do their blessing remotely, but it was nonetheless. God bless them all. So really, that was really wonderful, just that in and of itself for this year. We haven't had an opportunity yet to do an official ceremony to celebrate the Wanjan site that we set up, but we set up a site for our families to, if they choose to, we can all be buried and laid to rest in the same area together as a family. And one family donated money so that we could create a really nice stone there. It's not a very flashy cemetery. They specialize in more natural burial, so they don't want to have a bunch of, mausoleums and stuff like that. So this is pretty much like the most that they'll accept there, but it was still really nice to have something like that. And in the spring, the plan is that we'll have Reverend Jackson fly out and we'll do a nice commemoration of the site, the dedication of the site. Oops, there we go. Catherine did a really wonderful art exhibit of her paintings. It feels like forever ago, right? But I'm sure she's been hard at work making more art, and this was just a really wonderful.
We'll do her next exhibit in here with all of her paintings.
Because we're going to need a lot more space. Yeah, so something to look forward to. And yeah, that was a really wonderful experience. So that was really, the art is amazing. Mother's Day also came around. It was like the non-traditional Mother's Day, where it was kind of the height of, basically everyone being home and we weren't having church. But Adonia worked really hard and put together a bunch of gifts for all the mothers. And then people pitched in, like my dad, to drive around and deliver them house to house at everybody's doorsteps. So that was really nice. Somebody asked me, a friend of ours from France who's a pastor, he asked, how did you guys, what did you do to maintain the sometimes fragile relationships in the community during this COVID time? And we said, well, sometimes we were limited by what we could do, but we just did what we could. And I think that's kind of the best you can do sometimes. So this was kind of a really good example of that. Also, I don't know if you remember, but before everything shut down, there was a bunch of conferences. And Adonia went to Texas and shared there with our whole region. What did you share about?
We shared about reaching out to younger people and making real relationships with them. And we shared about also our new members and their education.
Yeah. So I don't know when we're going to have these kind of national or regional gatherings again, but we had a couple of them back at that time, so that was cool. This was our Holy Day offering table.
Oh yeah, should have been at the beginning of the slide.
So that was back in like February. Yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice to see all the pictures, all the people. Anton and Kobe were here for a while, working really hard to fix up the office. It was a huge job, at least 50 hours in just time, effort, labor, taking everything out of the office, ripping out the old carpet, cleaning, painting, putting in new flooring. Was a huge job, but it looks so much better in there, and it's just kind of another step in the way of all the different work and projects that we've been doing at the church over the last 6 years. This was taking out the carpet in the chapel. There was carpet in here, remember? Just a very short time ago. And so we were so grateful for all the people who helped out. Adonia's sister and her husband helped, and Michael, there's Michael there helping. And taking out the carpet was a pretty big job, messy, but it was really, really awesome. And now we have this beautiful hardwood floor that, and we can take the chairs out and we can have, art exhibits and banquets and UPF events and things like that in here. So excited for that in the new year. And Father's Day was not a huge event, but we could celebrate all the dads, and Adonia would grill these big double cheeseburgers for all the dads, and we just kind of hung out and talked and enjoyed each other's company, and it was really nice. Yeah, it was Chuck's birthday, that's right. And who can forget the Zoom calls? Lots of Zoom calls. And we really tried our best to create some kind of virtual gatherings during the time where we weren't having church. But I think that we could all say that it wasn't as good as getting together in person. And it was interesting as the weeks went by, less and less people got on. And we were like, we got to stop this, or it's going to be really sad. But if better than nothing. But we were really eager to get back into having in-person experiences sooner than later, for sure. Like our family camp. And we're so happy that we didn't cancel our family camp. We weren't even sure up until the last minute. But thankfully, the facility, they weren't too concerned about having big groups of people. So we got together, and we just had a really wonderful time, except for David, who I think had a great time, except the fact that he broke his leg and is still on crutches 6 months later. Yeah, that's the way it goes, I guess. But yeah, a really wonderful group of people, and I really think that we got to get to know each other better. And we just had a lot of really great experiences on the hayride and the s'mores, and we did hot chocolate that year, the pool, and lots of time for fellowship. So we're doing it again this year. I think we've already booked the date sometime in August, a little later this year, because that was all that was available. But then for the following year, we've already booked two times, because their largest capacity is 70 people, and that's if you squeeze. And last year we already had to turn away people, and we had people from out of state who wanted to come. So, this year we told them, well, our community really needs this. We really need the time to be together and nurture our relationships. So, but next time we'll find a way to get you in. So anyway, we're really excited about family camp, and we're absolutely doing it without a doubt this year. Let's see here. Anyway, there's a lot of other great photos, but time. Oh, here we go. Anyway, this is not working for me here. There we go. Anyway, this was a group photo. Most of us were there. Yeah, it's a really wonderful place to get away. No cell phone reception, no Wi-Fi, just being together. And then there was Peace Road. Peace Road happened in the summer, and they actually didn't come here, but we had the opportunity to try to create something that was in the spirit of Peace Road, which was, spirit of reconciliation, healing old hurts and resentments. So we spent some time at the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial in City Park, and also the old Japanese internment camp, and the site of the Sand Creek massacre of the Native Americans. So it was really a worthwhile experience. We had a day camp with our youth, generally basically 9 and up, something like that, 9 and up. So really glad that we could do that. Just keep it simple. Slept here at the church, had some testimonies. There, some testimonies with our high schoolers. So really glad that we could continue to do something like this. And this year we're going to be doing a lot more of these kind of things, especially with our older kids. And we don't want to leave out the CoOp. It's not officially a church function, but so many of our church kids are involved, and our community members, and they've worked so hard to create a great CoOp here at the church from Monday through Thursday, and we wanted to really recognize them and Gabriella for making that happen. Yeah, let's give her a round of applause. It's been a really great way to continue and to keep some level of consistency with our children. I think there are many of you who probably realize that the school system has been in complete flux this year. Oh, you can be in school. Oh, you got to be at home. Oh, you can be at school sometimes, but you got to be at home other times. And, it's maybe that will change in this new semester, but it's for our kids, it's been so great. They've really loved it and appreciate it, and we appreciate it as well. And as well, they've done some great outings to Miller Farms, aquarium, hiking. So it's been awesome. Next is, there we go. Not really something we can take credit for, but Paco Sanchez opened up the second phase of their park. So having that park there has been such a blessing for our community. And we're grateful that, one way or the other, the city has been able to make that happen, and we've been able to benefit from it. Of course, all the other neighbors as well, people from all over the city, but it's been a huge blessing for us. And, Gail and Antonio out in Grand Junction have been working really hard this whole year to create these interfaith experiences where they bring together Muslims and Sikhs and Christians and Baha'i together to talk about common themes and commonalities and how they can work together more to have a bigger impact on the world. So we want to recognize their efforts too out in Grand Junction, even though we don't see them too often, but they're working very hard. And want to also recognize another one of the renovations is David is of course involved in all of them and making them all happen. Let's give David a round of applause. I was working on improving things, and there was this nasty carpet in there that we always felt so bad. Little kids were playing in there with the old carpet, but we finally got around to replacing that carpet with these, commercial pads that if one gets damaged, we can just easily replace it. But
if they fall off the structure, they're not
yeah,
going to get hurt.
They're not going to get hurt if they fall off things. So grateful for him and all the efforts to make our building welcoming and pleasant and usable. It's been a godsend. And we want to recognize Roger. Thank you, Roger, for continuing to organize these outdoor adventures and hikes. We did our best to try to catch the aspens at their full peak. And it was just a nice experience to be all out in nature and see the aspens and to get fresh air. Even though we live right next to the mountains, it's not always easy to go out and experience nature. I'm one of those people who, if somebody wasn't inviting me or pulling my arm, I probably would never get into the mountains. I would never get into nature so much. So I'm so grateful. We need those kind of people who love nature so much, and they provide opportunities, are willing to make sure that other people have the opportunity to experience it as well. All right. We had a lovely Halloween party this year as well, and all the children dressed up so nicely, and it was a really wonderful competition. This was just a nice picture to see all the kids, some of the kids together, dressed up in their costumes, making memories, so important. Let's see here. And we had a little stand outside. Fortunately, we had good weather, so it was really actually a lovely day outside for activities and photos. And I also want to make, Elvis actually isn't able to be here today, but I want to really recognize him. He's part of the original cafe group, and from like 4 years ago, and he's been consistently there every morning, and coming and taking care of the cafe and making bagels, and he's. I don't think that it's necessarily his dream to be running the cafe, but he really feels a lot of pride in it and a lot of ownership in it. And he's. We probably wouldn't have it without him. So we're just so grateful for him, and because of his diligence and commitment, now we have like a whole new generation of kids who are running the cafe. Yumika and Akio and the twins and Michael, they come and they help out with the cafe. And actually, we had a meeting last month, and we talked about how do we want to make the cafe better, because we recognize that coffee tastes kind of old, and sometimes the drinks aren't always consistent in their quality. But for us, it's a ministry. It's ministry for them, and it's an opportunity for them to minister to us, to provide an opportunity for us to come together before church, to enjoy a cup of coffee, to fellowship together, to kind of relax, maybe let go of some of the stress of the week. And if you don't take advantage of that, I really encourage you to come early and take advantage of it, because it's there for you. And they work hard, and they just get tips. We don't pay them; they just get tips. And this year, Yumika is going to be learning the how to run the coffee, how to make the coffee drinks, espressos and things like that, espressos. And all the other kids are excited to step up, and they want to make better quality drinks and provide more food. They were like, "Hey, can we have salmon, dried smoked salmon on the bagels? Can't we provide caramel drizzle on the?" They came up with all these ideas. And we got a TV, so we're going to make a digital menu that so we can change it here and there. And they wanted to, they were excited about providing like monthly drinks. So like 1 month we'll have some Thai tea, 1 month we'll have boba, things like that. So coordinating all that is a little bit challenged, because they're all kids, so they're not going to be out there, buying the coffee and stuff. But it's been a really wonderful. So I'll move on. It's been anyway. They're really great. So don't forget to acknowledge them, and they're working really hard. Yes, and then also near the end of the year, we took out all the pews. They're being repurposed into gifts, woodworking gifts, and got chairs. And really re-establishing the vision for this chapel as a place that can serve many functions. So, and then redoing the floor, and then there's many more things to come in here as well. But that was kind of the important beginning. And then we want to really recognize our couples in the community that have worked so hard to become Chumbo victors. And they have been investing over the past years to reach out to people, families, give the holy wine, educate people about the blessing. And they've worked really, really hard. And we were able to recognize them officially a couple months ago. And we just want to really acknowledge them for their efforts and their accomplishments. More to come. Oh, yeah. I showed this picture already?
Well, you did in the announcements.
Oh, yeah, I did. Anyway, if you weren't here for the announcements, this is our Christmas party, and songs all the CoOp children sang for us. And then had a few, we have a bunch of pictures. We'll send them out soon. Okay, I think we must be coming near the end here. You will log? I already showed that. Okay. So that is the past year. There's so much more, and we could spend a lot more time talking about that, but we have more to say. But It's a good time to just acknowledge the last year and all the efforts that all of you made to make everything possible. And we want to, I think, acknowledge that there was a lot of challenge in the past year, but there's so many good things that happened as well. So thank you. Thank you, 2020.
As I was reflecting on the year and thinking about what shall we share on the first Sunday of this fortuitous new year, I didn't come up with much for quite a while. And I think that part of it was that I myself was still just trying to digest it all. And maybe some of you are still in that boat of trying to figure out what you really felt about this year and to kind of really find your takeaways and find your victories. And if you are, that is wonderful. You'll get there. But as I sometimes do, I was scrolling through Facebook. And one of my friends, actually, some of you know Prisetta. She and her family came here for a year or so before they moved. And she posted this one quote. And I was like, really? Is that a Bible quote? Because I love that quote. And so I dug into the internet to find where this quote came from. And it was from the Bible. And I wanted to find out what chapter it came from and what was the story behind this quote. So I wanted to, I'll share it with you shortly, but I realized I have another quote that comes first. And this other quote that comes first actually was inspired by my reflecting on this Bible quote that I found. And this one might be familiar to a lot of you. This is from the Divine Principle, from the section, Our Attitude in the Last Days. When we examine the progress of history and the providence of restoration, we find that a new dispensation begins when the old dispensation is about to end. Accordingly, the beginning of the new overlaps the conclusion of the old. As darkness falls on the old history, the new history is already dawning. At such a time, the good and evil sovereignties, which had their origins at the same point, yet pursued contrary purposes, and have each borne their fruits on the world level, come to the point of intersection. Hence, those who live in this period suffer internally from anxiety, fear, and confusion due to the absence of a guiding ideology or philosophy. They suffer externally from strife and battles fought with fearsome weapons and pandemics. In the midst of such wretchedness, God, without fail, will establish the center of the emerging good sovereignty in order to usher in a new age. The providence of the new age does not begin on the ashes of the old age. On the contrary, the new age sprouts and grows amidst the final phases of the old age and comes into conflict with that age. Accordingly, it is difficult for a person steeped in the old tradition to understand or accept this new providence. This is why Jesus said, "New wine must be put into new wineskins." Yes, I almost feel like this needs no explanation. But what a good reminder of God's perspective. Because each one of us is one person on this planet experiencing all of these things from our own perspective. And if we only look from what I'm experiencing or what my neighbor is experiencing and how this is affecting me, and especially if we hold on to our old perspectives or our old expectations, then even though God is working right here in front of our eyes, we're like the old wineskins, and we don't even recognize it. We can't accept it. So I think this is it's just kind of like a revelation. Through all the things that I experienced this year, and you experienced this year, and the things that we saw on the news, and the things that happened on Facebook, and all of those things, there's a direction that this world is taking. And it's a good direction. Because God is getting rid of the old, but at the same time, and that's what's the confusing part, right? When all of it's happening at the same time, but at the same time, the center of God's sovereignty is being established on this earth if we have the eyes to see it, and if we make ourselves new so that we can receive that new wine. So it was just like a load off my chest rereading this and reminding myself, okay, maybe I had these personal opinions, or maybe I had these personal struggles, but God is much bigger than those things. And if I can open up my heart a little bit more, and if I can open my mind a little bit more, and if I can keep my eyes on God a little bit more than what I'm looking at the rest of the things going on in the world, then I have nothing to fear. So with that, I'm going to go on to the quote that first inspired me. This is from Isaiah, chapter 66, verses 7 through 9. And this is the New Central Version. Anyway, it's a slightly different translation, but it's very like in today's language and very relevant. A woman does not give birth before she feels the pain. Yes, women? She does not give birth to a son before the pain starts. No one has ever heard of that happening. No one has ever seen that happen. In the same way, no one ever saw a country begin in one day. No one has ever heard of a new nation beginning in one moment. But Jerusalem will give birth to her children just as soon as she feels the birth pains. In the same way, I will not cause pain without allowing something new to be born, says the Lord. If I cause you pain, I will not stop you from giving birth to your new nation, says your God. What a promise. In this verse, he's talking about, and this is when talking about Jesus and the New Testament and how that was a transition to a new age. And how God can quickly, right, without having to go through all of the birth pains at the first birth pain, God can quickly build a nation. God can build a city and build a nation. And I feel that is similar to the verses from the divine principle, right? There's pain going, but at the same time, God can quickly use that to build the new age. And so I like to take that perspective on the world and what's happening now, but I feel like the principles that apply on the grandest scale in the cosmos, those same principles also apply in the smallest details of our life. God is absolute, and his principles are absolute. So this is a message both for perspective on the world and what's going on now and for this year, but also I think it's a wonderful opportunity this is a message for each one of our lives.
I will not cause pain without allowing something new to be born, says the Lord. If I cause you the pain, I will not stop you from giving birth to your new nation. I think the only thing that can stop us from receiving the blessings that God has for us is if we are the old wineskins and we just refuse to see what God is trying to give us. That's where we get stuck sometimes, because it's easy in pain or it's easy in difficulty to simply focus on the pain and the difficulty and why is this happening to me, and maybe it's your fault, maybe it's God's fault, maybe this shouldn't be happening. But I think if we remember these words from God and remember God's perspective, then if we happen to be in a difficult moment right now, or maybe sometime during this year, or maybe you found yourself in a difficult situation last year, we can remember that God, it's another way of saying God won't give us more than we can handle, right? But even better, I won't cause you pain without giving you the reward. Yes. So God wants to bring new life to us. God wants to give us the new wine. God wants us to be a part of the new age. God doesn't want us to be stumbling and falling with the old age as it disintegrates. So let's not keep our minds there. God wants us to be able to enjoy and be a part of building the kingdom of heaven here on earth. But we also need to provide those new wineskins. So let's not be too discouraged. Sometimes it's easy to feel jaded when we feel like we see history repeating itself, or the same scandals happening in the news, or the same things happening that we feel like have always happened. Let's not get cynical and disheartened, because I think that is the only way where we can somehow miss the blessings that God wants to give us. So, very simple message today, but I feel these quotes are really so self-explanatory. And we'll send them out with our email later. But that's my message for today, and we're going to go over some of the new things we have planned for the year.
All right. So it worked good for you. Okay. So we want to talk about our main priorities for the new year. Obviously, this isn't going to be able to encompass everything that we're going to do and we want to do, and probably some things will come along that will change our plans, as they always do. But these are priorities that we've identified as being really necessary for the prosperity and growth of our community going forward. The first one is high school youth ministry. So we feel that, looking back, one of the areas in which we definitely have room for growth is education of our youth, what it really means to be a unificationist, and giving them experiences of faith, and really helping them to feel like we're a community, we're a family. And I know that there's been a lot of effort made in this area over the years, but somehow it's been really hard for us as a church to, provide enough. And maybe it can never be. I mean, maybe you can only do so much. But one of the things that we really felt is that we're not doing enough, and we can do a lot more, and we want to do a lot more. We want to be able to provide really meaningful experiences and really invest our hearts into our youth. And so obviously there's many different areas where that needs to happen, both at home. You know, you can't replace your home experience at church, but we can be aunts and uncles, grandparents, adopted parents to other people's kids, and invest our hearts and really care as much as we can. So one of the things, so we have a large group of children coming into the high school age right now. And as the years go by, it's going to continue to be that way because we have more and more families moving here. You know, last year we counted and we had, between babies being born and families moving here and different things, we had 30, our community grew by 38. And next year, this year, we already have 24 that we know of that have said they're either moving here, they're like 90% sure they're going to move here, or they're pregnant now and they're having babies. So, you know, we need to think about the future. And we need to think about, you know, where we want to invest our efforts, where, you know, our youth are really going to be able to benefit from it and hopefully inherit the heart that we have for God and for true parents and for this movement. It's not an easy thing to do. It's tall order, but we really want to invest ourselves in. And not only that, we've been so inspired. There is a group of people in our community who have really expressed a desire to invest in this area. And starting in the new year, you know, Anissa and her husband Kenzo are going to be really spearheading this direction of really taking on care for our youth, both with character education and divine principle education. My dad's retreats, my dad's going to be helping with this group. You know, Kazio and Gilo have already been helping, continuing to be helping with this group. Mira and Joel are going to be helping with this group. And you know, it's really, and Pablo's going to be helping with this group. Pablo's going to be doing adventure outings, camping trips, you know, real good opportunity to bond together when you're, you know, maybe making a fire in the snow and trying to cook your dinner. I don't know, you know, like that kind of thing can be really great experiences for our youth. So, you know, we're talking about, you know, also doing trips besides hikes, also like rafting trips and maybe zip line, you know, fun things too, right? So, you know, we recognize that it's important to give good education and have fun and bond as friends and brothers and sisters. So, you know, to create that kind of environment, you know, really takes a concerted effort. And, you know, we're really so grateful for those who are, you know, stepping up to do that, because, you know, there's no guarantee. There's never a guarantee when you're investing into people, when you invest into young people. You know, so I've had the experience of working with youth, and, you know, down the road, they really resent their experience. They regret it. They hate you for it. But there are also those who really value it, and they wouldn't have had that experience otherwise. And so you kind of have to take the good with the bad and invest yourself unconditionally. So and they know that, and they're still willing to do it. So we're so grateful for them and for this. So in this new year, this is going to be a big effort and priority. And, you know, going down the road, this is going to really benefit even those who have young children, babies who haven't had kids yet, you know.
Well, these kids will be our future, right? These are the ones who are going to grow up, and they'll be the older brothers and sisters for the kids who are in middle school now, and then the kids who are in elementary school. And yeah, we just want to give them the foundation and experience for them to be able to be confident in themselves, in their identity, and in their faith.
Yeah, we want them to be well educated when they are making the decision of how they want to live their life. Along with that is this goal of the new year, which is starting a local Carb chapter. Now, we've had a lot of talk about that over the years. starting a local CARP chapter. And for those of you who don't know, CARP is like a college-age ministry, right? So it can take on many forms. But our intention, one of the challenges that we've recognized in our community is that we don't have a lot of college-age kids who are involved. And we don't have a lot of college-age youth in general. And that's actually really a problem, because when you're a teenager, it's going to be a little bit easier for you to relate to a college-age elder, brother or sister, than it is to a 35 or 40-year-old or 50-year-old parent or uncle or something like that. That's not to say that those people aren't absolutely crucial, important in their life, but there's a role of the elder brother and elder sister that's also very important. And we don't have that in our community, and it's just an area where we just don't have a lot of people. And some of the people that we had in that area are not so connected to our church right now, or they've moved away. So for us, we can look at that situation and be like, oh, too bad. But no, there's a way. There's always a way to make things happen if you identify that it's important enough to you. So we've already reached out to the GPA staff. We've already put out feelers. We already have a conversation lined up for next week. And we've been talking with some CARP leaders. And even though we don't have a lot of college-age youth ourselves, we're looking at, we can bring them here by either having GPA graduates start a CARP chapter here in our local community, which we're already looking at doing, possibly very soon. At least some of them may come here for temporarily, and also, or just moving a whole CARP chapter from somewhere else to here. And we've told them, one thing that many CARP chapters are lacking is involved young families that they can look up to and be like, I want to be like that. And we have that in our community. So it can be a win-win for both groups. So that's something that we're going to be investing into. It's very important for the future of our community to not have these huge missing holes in our demographics, because we need to be able to see continuity of life and be able to see, oh, that's my next step. Oh, that's what I want, that, and so we want for our high schoolers to be able to see the next step for them, and then for our college students to be able to see the next step for them. Anyway, that's something that we're going to be working on in the new year as well. Another area that we are investing into and always trying to figure out what is the next step is new member graduation. So we have new members like Loretta who have really put so much effort into their spiritual life and education, and what does it mean to be a part of this church? What does it mean to be a unificationist? And it's not a simple process. It takes time.
They've been doing this every other week for a year and a half. They've been consistently attending these programs.
Yeah. And that's on top of already learning divine principle and getting lectures and doing the membership class and who are we presentation, all these things. So it's a big deal for us, and we really want to, even despite circumstances, continue to do our part best that we can, which was a commitment that we made to them back at the Who Are We presentation. And so this year, there's going to be a graduation. Peggy too. Sorry, I don't mean to leave you out. We're going to have a graduation, and we're hoping to bring in all those who have gone to other states and have a really nice celebration together of their accomplishment. And so we were planning to do that at some point when the weather gets a little bit better. One of the things that we have been doing a lot of, as you know, and hopefully aren't getting too tired of, is the ongoing renovations. And I want to just highlight some of the things that we're planning to do this year. It's impossible to kind of go over everything because, this is the list of this is just a list of the small stuff that David's, and hopefully more of us, because he's just one guy. He works so hard. Let's give him another round of applause. We wouldn't be able to do any of this without David. But these are just some of the things that we want to do this year. Things that we've identified are things that need fixing, things that need upgrading, areas that aren't maybe getting enough attention or we've put off.
Continuing our big exterior renovation.
Yeah, and so some of it is, so I'm not going to go through this list, obviously, but I do want to go over some of the big ones. So you've seen this thing at the front of back of the chapel for the last year or so. This is our plan for the exterior renovation. So everything is a process. It took months to finalize the plans just for the doors. But this year we're planning to do this. We're planning to fix up this wall, fix the cracks, repaint it, probably be part of the spring refresh, and then also put this nice new fence in, going all the way across, take out the chain link fence that's falling apart out there. And then also the other big project will be this retaining wall here. So that's a pretty big project because we need to take out the concrete stairs and sidewalks that's up here, all around here, and build the retaining wall, put in the drainage, fill the dirt, all this stuff. And we are planning to do that ourselves, okay? So you can see, right, it's a big project. It doesn't just end here, too. It goes all the way to the alley over here. And something that we really feel, we really want for our church is to really provide an exceptional experience. Some people call it the wow experience. You come to church and it's like, wow, the message was great. Wow, the music was great. Wow, the building is so clean and welcoming, and the people are so friendly, and the outside is so inviting. We want people to have that kind of experience, and we're not there yet. We have a lot of work to go. We've come a long way, but we have a lot of work to do. And but I tell you though, when people come and they see this picture, and they see the stuff that's already happened here, maybe they haven't been to this church in 3 or 4 years, and they see all the changes, or they see the park, they're inspired. We've had people just come in and be like, oh, wow, look at that plan. Can I give you some money? We've had that happen. So, we're pretty sure we're going in the right direction. But anyway, these are two main things that we're going to be working on this year outside, and then these windows. Some of these windows are going to be done as well. So it's going to be a lot of work, but please consider, if you have time when we start to do these projects, if you have some time to help out, because some of it is skilled work. You need to know certain things, but a lot of it's going to be digging and jackhammering and things like that. So painting. So, yeah. Oh, and anyway, inside as well, we have a lot more plans. This chapel, the work that's been done in here is just the beginning. We're also planning to, envision a new background for here. And we've got TVs that are going to go up on the wall, on the ceilings, and more and more plans. So, let's see here. Also, we have people in our community who are really invested into all the other areas that are really important as well, like outreach and witnessing and UPF events. Peggy's planning to do some events here in the newly renovated chapel. UPF brings together community leaders and ambassadors for peace and religious leaders and political leaders to work together to resolve problems in society. So that's very important. So we really hope that her events can be well supported and we can work together to make them very successful. And as well, we know that Hisako-san and many of the Japanese members and many other members in our community are really committed and invested into going to campus and continuing to do tribal messiahship work and educating those who have been, that we've met and that we've reached out to. So they are also planning to do ongoing education and more work in the new year. So we also really support them and hope for their success as well. And yeah. So some other things that we plan to do this year is also to develop a new live music ministry. Yay! For now, we're just going to continue with the videos because that's kind of what we have. And but we plan to create a new music ministry that's better than our previous music ministry. We're just waiting for the people to arrive. And but that's something that we feel is really important to our church experience, to have really good music that touches your soul, helps you feel, moves you, inspires you, helps you connect to God. Starting in February, as I mentioned before, we're planning to move back to every week service. We don't like doing every other week, but for now, we just ended up having to do that in terms of our circumstances. But part of what we need to figure out, there's a lot of things that we need to work out, because things that make service happen is the volunteers, the people who do Sunday school, the people who help prepare lunches, the people who are helping with service, and there's a lot of things to figure out there in terms of Sunday school and also the lunches. One of the things that has been really challenging is that because of COVID, we wanted to take some precautions and prepare lunches that, people felt comfortable to eat, I guess. And so we put all the lunches in boxes so you can take it to go, you can eat here, but it's your choice. And also not everybody's handling all the instruments and breathing on all the food. But that's been hard. It's taken people a lot of effort to put the meals together, and we don't know from week to week how many people are going to be here. Some weeks it's a lot of people, some weeks it's not very many people. So it's been hard to plan. It's also been very expensive. So, if you imagine, 2 trays of japchae is $100. It's a very reasonable price for completely cooked food. But then you add on the boxes, the to-go boxes, the rice, the edamame, and whatever, a little miscellaneous stuff, and you're looking at $150 at least. If we get 3 trays of japchae, probably closer to $200, which isn't a lot when you consider like 1 week, but over the course of a year, that's like $6,000, and that's a lot of money. And I think that's money well spent. Personally, I love our services, and I think an important part of our services, we've talked about this before, is having lunch together and that fellowship time and catching up. And especially these days, I know some of you aren't seeing a lot of people. So to be able to come together once a week in a good spiritual atmosphere, get a message, and kids getting Sunday school, and to have lunch together and to talk together with people that you love and know, it's a worthwhile experience. We're totally committed to investing into that. But at the same time, there's realistic financial limits. And, we have to consider, can we do that in a sustained way? And I don't think we can. So we are looking at ways in which we can do things a little bit differently. And also in terms of volunteers. So we're probably, once we go back to every week, we're probably going to change things up a little bit. We're probably going to go back to buffet style. And we're probably going to look for creative ways to make meals that aren't going to be too much of a burden on the people cooking, but also aren't going to be as expensive. There will come a day where we'll be too many people to make lunches for, but we're not there yet. So we just have to find a way to be creative and keep things going that still has a good level of quality, but also is manageable for us. Yeah.
Yes, so these are the things that we've kind of identified that we know that we need to take care of going into this year. At the same time, I feel like just as we didn't know how many people were going to arrive in our community this year, we don't even, I think we'll be surprised by the things that we'll accomplish this year and the new ideas that we'll have and the new directions that we're going to take. And all the while, our vision statement, we feel, is really guiding us. And honestly, at the core of that vision statement is each and every person's own connection to God and their own spiritual growth, and each person realizing their own purpose and how God is calling them to show up in their life, whether it's for their family and for this community or in the state level or the worldwide level. So you can bet that that will be at the heart of everything that we're doing this year. Anything else? And that is it. So thank you very much.
Okay, please join me in prayer. Good morning, Heavenly Parent. Thank you so much for the opportunity for us to kick off the year together. We really invite you to be at the center of our lives and everything we do. And also, please guide this community. Please correct us when we need correcting and encourage us when we need encouragement. And Heavenly Parent, at the end of the day, we want to do your will. We don't want to be just doing our own thing. We want to fulfill a need and a desire that you have for this church. Heavenly Parent, we ask for your guidance as we many times don't always know the right thing to do and the right way to deal with certain situations. But we know that with your guidance and with your love and with your parental heart that we will get there in the end, because your plan never changes, Heavenly Parent, and we know that we are a part of that plan. We thank you so much and offer this service and a sermon to you in my name, Michael and Adonia Hendrick, a blessed Central family. Amen and Aju. Thank you so much.